And this is an example of Larry Ellison totally talking his own book. By the way, 81 years old, people. Shout
He's
out.
in the game,
Bro,
man. He became the
80
richest guy in the world. I don't know if we
he
used
briefly
mentioned that
became the
before,
richest guy in the world, worth over 400 billion. We're going to talk about how he owns 43% of Oracle.
also one of the most legendary texts of all time.
Yeah.
When Elon was shopping around, looking for investors to buy Twitter, I assume, right?
I'll read it right now for the listeners. Yeah, here it is. We're talking about Elon buying. This is one of, like to Bilal's point, one of the greatest texts ever. Elon Musk texts Larry Ellison in 2022. Any interest in participating in the Twitter deal? Larry Ellison, yes, of course. Thumbs up. Elon Musk, cool. Roughly what dollar size? Not holding you to anything, but the deal's oversubscribed, so I have to reduce or kick out some participants. Larry Ellison, $1 billion, whatever you recommend. $1 billion or whatever you recommend.
Whatever you recommend. I'm just looking because while we're on here, I've got texts from a few friends organizing dinner, and someone's like, "Can you do 6:30?" And they're like, "Oh, I can do this place or somewhere else you recommend." That's the closest I'm getting to.
That's the recommendation.
That's the normal recommendation, not.
It's like, what do you want?
Recommend.
Are you thinking something soupy? Something cold? Should we do sashimi?
Soup.
Or soupy? That's the recommendation.
All right, welcome to another episode of Not Investment Advice. You got Trung Phan, Bilal Zaidi, Jack Butcher. Boys, we've been going for 30 minutes before the pod already. That's
this
like
is crazy,
25.
We're hyped up. If we're a little bit low energy today, it's because we just expended 30 minutes of it.
I think we're gonna be higher energy. That's the move. That was all part of the plan, boy. We had to do the social lubricant of the chat before, get us warmed up, and now we're going to chat a little.
A lot of business tech today, people. A lot of business tech.
Yeah, every week, Trung. That's what we talk about. All right, but let's let people know what we're talking about. SpaceX, Tesla, Elon buying his own bags, Oracle's insane pump with some funny stories in there, and obviously we got some edge of the internet for you guys with Jack explaining. Jack's got a new release coming out with art blocks, but also he's going to talk about the PunkStrategy. Where should we start, boys? SpaceX? I think, Trung, you said there's a
some
deal.
people
What's
saw
going
this.
on?
Well, Bilal, you sent the All In podcast episode. They had the All In Summit where they had Elon obviously dropped in on that. Did you remember the SpaceX part?
Yeah, I don't. Well, you might have to remind me the details, but I was just saying generally that I enjoyed the pod, or I enjoyed the chat, because one thing with All In and Elon is nowadays it's all political, and I appreciate that it wasn't that political, and it was mostly about all the crazy cool shit he's building, which is a lot more entertaining for me.
Well, we teased it last week and we didn't get into it, but it's worthwhile talking about because more details have come out. But Elon, they bought a wireless spectrum from EchoStar. And I don't know how well the listeners know about the telecom industry. I don't know it super well. But, all these massive players, AT&T, Verizon, like a big part of their mandate, from the government is they get to buy on these massive auctions for spectrum. And obviously a lot of the AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile, they have the cellular spectrum. And there's all these rules about you can buy it, but then you have to lease it out at a certain amount. Like you have to allow competition to come on it. And EchoStar had owned a spectrum, and people had thought that EchoStar, they owned a satellite spectrum and a cellular one, or a piece of the sky that could do both. And people thought that they'd become like a fifth competitor in America. So let me ask you guys, what service do you use? I use AT&T when I was in the United States.
I think we use on my internet.
Yeah. Internet,
or
cell phone.
Cell phone's different. Yeah, it's T-Mobile.
I got Google Internet.
Your Google Internet. We were complaining about it last week.
Fios.
Is it good?
Fios is sick.
Okay, you got Fios? But wait, so you said Verizon and T-Mobile?
I got T-Mobile for sale, yeah.
Is it shit or is it fine?
It's fine.
It's actually all right, and it's cheap.
Okay, yeah. Okay, it is cheap, right? So
and you get grandfathered in. Well, I think I've upped it a few times, but when we first got on, it was $50 a phone, unlimited everything. Which is
wow.
Man, I have the same thing, but I pay twice the amount, and I've had on my list to basically fix this because I shouldn't be paying the hundreds. Mm-hmm. You can get it for this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just have been putting it off, but yeah.
Well, it's the four big guys, right? I think Sprint and T-Mobile, did they merge? Sprint and T-Mobile. But anyways, there's a couple of them, right? And the less there are, like in Canada, it's a total oligopoly. Like they just charge you, as you guys well know, right? You guys well know the Canadian internet cell, if you've ever chat with Trung Phan, is not the best. Canada is really bad on that, right? They throttle your service, and it costs quite a bit. So it's always good to have competition in telecom space. So earlier this year, EchoStar's been sitting on this spectrum. They were supposed to come in and be a new provider in the space, satellite specifically, right? So I think they used to be Dish Network, was EchoStar, but SpaceX, especially because the new administration, the Trump administration, had a kind of like a more pro competition. Well, the FCC commissioner Brendan Carr was seen as kind of an ally to Elon. So SpaceX came in beginning of the year, and they basically said, "Listen, we know how much of this spectrum is being used because we have 6,000 freaking Starlink satellites in space. Like, we observe everything. We're telling you right now, EchoStar is using 5% of the spectrum. They're just sitting on it. They're squatting on the spectrum." So they basically filed a lawsuit and asked the government to give SpaceX an opportunity to purchase that spectrum. So do you guys know much about, have you guys ever done the direct satellite to cell phone, or know people that have? Jack, you did outdoorsy stuff.
I've heard people do it, but you're talking about like Starlink or whatever.
Starlink
It pops up when you're on a plane sometimes too. It says
So do you guys know like basically satellite versus cell? Like, do you guys know the broad differences between those two things? Is like why the pros and cons of them? Like, I can just list them off right now. Like, cell phone is
you're not going to be out. The satellite's going to work
line of sight, right?
Yeah, exactly, line of sight. So like the difference is that like cell towers, you'll get service, particularly indoors, which is pretty valuable. Like satellite, to get indoor service, you actually need like a special station. It's like it doesn't receive as well because like Jack said, you need line of sight to the sky basically. But it works really well in rural areas, of course, and like off the grid areas. Cellular, because there's way more towers inside urban areas, highly dense areas, and it works indoors, which is kind of a big benefit. That's like the benefit to cellular, right? So like there's these pros and cons of trade-offs. So SpaceX coming in, and SpaceX primarily right now, its direct to cell service is for emergency and rural stuff. So if people are seeing this, they're like, oh, is SpaceX going to take on the cell services? It's like, honestly, not really, because satellite will not replace your cellular plan. However, if SpaceX can offer basically the term they use in All In podcast, a global carrier as a backup, would I pay $50 a month to have satellite direct to my phone as just a backup all the time? Yes, I would, 100%. And Apple actually offers that right now. I think they offer in the United States emergency satellite phone service. And SpaceX and Apple are actually in negotiations for SpaceX to be the provider for that. But Elon, in classic Elon style, said, you guys, when they started negotiating, he went, you have 72 hours to agree to this. He told Apple that they had 72 hours to agree to his terms. And they're just like, man, we can't do that, dude. So he turned around and is now, last week, they bought EchoStar for $17 billion. Now, the last thing I'll add to get your guys' comments, basically what I'd ask is, would you want this? Is it was $17 billion, $8.5 billion cash, $8.5 billion in SpaceX stock, which is super interesting. Private company, but super liquid in secondary markets. And then they also agreed to pay $2 billion in interest on EchoStar's existing debt, because telecommunication companies issue a lot of debt because they have a very predictable income stream, so they can actually take on a lot of debt. So the thing I'll add is this: the last thing I'll say is this: EchoStar could actually become a tracking stock for SpaceX, because at this point they are kind of just like the 8.5 billion of SpaceX stock. And secondary markets right now, people are paying 2 to 3 times the valuation of SpaceX just to get their hands on it. So you can see some crazy things happening with EchoStar stock. Not investment advice. They still need to unload some other spectrum they have and clearing up some debt. But I bring up those two things. The phone aspect, it's still going to take a couple of years. Will SpaceX have a phone? They might. Elon doesn't want to do it, but his whole free speech stance, he would be able to actually have a competitor, which is like, it's like the worst nightmare for governments, if we're being honest. It's like it totally, and what we should talk about later is what's happening in Nepal, because it's very related. I don't know if you guys heard.
Those videos have been wild, by the way.
It's crazy,
Did you
right?
guys see, wait, real quick on that. Did you see the white dude who's like a vlogger or something, and he was there on holiday, vacation, and he just ends up being in these in these crazy places with like the
Is
fire
he
in the
okay?
background.
Nothing happened to him.
Yeah,
He
he
just
seems
did-
alright, but
yeah.
he's doing these incredible videos. It's just like he's running for his life, and people are there like celebrating around him. It's so good.
Look, could you actually give the listeners a quick TLDR what's happening in Nepal?
I have
Just quick
honestly, I literally don't even know properly. Like I just
Okay,
saw they were
I'll-
burning down the presidential house or whatever it was. I haven't been following properly.
Let me
for
do
you.
a quick 20 seconds. I'm doing verbal diarrhea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass it to you guys.
No, it's worth
Nepal,
worth
basically,
clarifying.
Gen Z protesters, hundreds of thousands of them, overthrew the Nepalese government. It was because Nepal had shut down all the social networks on September 9th. They did it because online, all the Nepalese citizens, look, Nepal's economy is not good. I think Bilal's been in Nepal. You've been in Nepal, right?
I haven't been actually.
You've been
no.
in Nepal. Okay, you haven't been. Nepal
Have
is
you?
actually famous for, I haven't been, but Mount Everest base camp. That's
Looks
what a lot of people
beautiful,
go
yeah,
for, right?
yeah.
It's like, but the economy is total dog shit. Like totally misrun. It was military run for ages, authoritarian. But the children of the military and government were posting all these images for the past year on Instagram, like living large. You go to any of these third world developing countries, these dumbass kids are always posting about how living,
Just
they're going to
flexing on
London,
them,
they're going to
man.
Paris, they're flexing like fucking idiots, right? And then, the country economy is imploding. So the trending hashtag was Nepo baby and Nepo babies about and that obviously
Pretty good branding, man.
yeah, incredible branding about these kids. So the government shuts down the entire internet. All these things happen. Unfortunately, 19 people got killed. I think they lynched the prime minister's wife. Crazy shit's happening. And then
That's wild.
they elected a prime minister on Discord. 100,000 people voted, and the military, which effectively was in control, agreed to the Discord vote. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing
I was
those
gonna
up
say real quick, was the Discord thing real? Because I saw those tweets.
it's 100% real.
Yeah,
So just could you say that again slowly? So they were voting for
They
a
were
new
organizing
leader
on Discord. They were organizing on Discord. And what happens in a lot of these countries?
We thought
is that-
DAOs were dead, boys. There you go.
Yeah, exactly,
That's-
right?
it's
The
all popping
military,
off.
the military often takes control in these situations, right? Is like, Pakistan is basically run by the military.
I was gonna
And,
say,
like,
man, yeah.
Thailand is basically run by the military, right? It's like this is why in America, this is why we talk about this, when you hear or in Canada and the Western world, like the military is under civilian control. It's for this reason, and you don't want the military, because they obviously have the monopoly of violence if they want to choose to use it. But anyways, I'm scrambling. But the whole point: did you guys see what happened with Jack Dorsey's side project in Nepal? Did you guys see this?
BitChat.
BitChat, yeah.
Went
Jack,
ballistic.
you
My
explain what
BitChat,
happened.
that was
What
his
happened?
brand.
So I think I only saw one tweet on it, but I'll try and infer what happened. He developed this messaging platform that functions purely on Bluetooth with mesh networks for phones. So there's zero dependency on a centralized
Totally decentralized, like Bitcoin.
Yeah. As long as you have Bluetooth on your phone and you're within Bluetooth radius of another phone that's called a mesh network, and you can contribute to keeping that online and facilitating the exchange of messages. I think the usage of that platform, you know what the chart looks
It
like.
hit
just
50,000.
went
It was
ballistic.
40% of the world's usage at one point. This is
Incredible.
hysterical.
And
Jack
everyone
Dorsey,
like 2 months ago was like, "What the fuck is this for? There's no use case for this." Yeah.
dude. I'll be honest. Because Dorsey is obviously super Bitcoin maximalist guy, even though he does a lot of things that aren't very Bitcoiny. But he is obviously very Mr. Decentralized. But dude, he just unleashed something that we're seeing. Like Hong Kong protesters, if you guys remember this, when they had the protests against the Chinese Communist Party, they were getting shut down so quickly. But there were these VPNs and these apps that the Chinese government was asking Apple to shut down, and Apple did. And but the point, this goes back to SpaceX. SpaceX now has, and this is something that a lot of governments have actually kind of been worried about. And this is why when people are talking about Elon, when you're talking about the power that Elon wields, he's just so many things he's in. He's a top manufacturer in America. Like if America needed somebody to do high-end manufacturing, you're giving Elon $100 billion, right? He's launching more satellites into space than the entire world combined, like singularly, SpaceX is. It's like 90% of the satellite launches in the past 5 years are SpaceX. Now they're going to launch, they own the Spectrum. They have a global carrier. And you put that on a phone now, you just have that's censorship resistant, other than the fact that obviously SpaceX is the knob, and there's been controversy over how much Elon has allowed the Ukrainian armies to use Starlink. We've talked about it here. Essentially, the government he had to build a special Starlink for the U.S. government. Now, then the U.S. government controls it. So they fully control it now. But anyways, we bring that all up because I'll hand it off to you guys. Everything we just put on the table. There's like EchoStar as a SpaceX tracking stock, SpaceX phone in the future, and then would you guys just have this as a secondary carrier? So anything you guys want to chew on, happy to pass it off.
What's the speculation on the phone? It's just pure speculation at the moment.
Yeah, just because Elon says a lot of things, but people asked him, he's like, would Apple controls the App Store? Google and Apple control whatever 90% of the app stores. People have asked him on Twitter, is like, would you release a phone? And he's like, I don't want to.
If it gets bad enough, he will, right?
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to, but I might have to. But he clearly has the manufacturing chops to do it, right? It's like, and would I buy
mean, the Tesla in-car stuff is not a million miles away.
Exactly, dude. It's like, it's all there, right? And then the Starlink, they manufacture the Starlink satellites. Dude, he could have a phone out in a year. But he said it would take 2 years for like people like Qualcomm chip makers because they have to add this spectrum onto the actual mobile chip. So, anyways, yeah.
I guess I don't understand. I don't understand what spectrum is. It's like a frequency that is exclusively accessible by certain services. Is that accurate?
Right. So when the Qualcomm's the big mobile chip maker, like you are manufacturing these chips and there's software involved to listen and exchange data over a certain frequency. Mm-hmm. So Elon just bought a frequency of the sky that he will be able to control.
I told you boys that they're doing a tunnel here as well.
Oh, the Boring Company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have much to add on that. Just like the plan is chugging along, it seems, right?
That's true. Which Bilal had brought up. Bilal, what was the big news out of Tesla today?
Oh, Elon bought how many $1 billion worth of his own stock, which we were joking at how small that is for him. But what was it here? $1 billion in Tesla shares, and the stock is up 8% today. Isn't that go on.
Interesting from him? We didn't do the pay package stuff, did we?
Oh yeah, we haven't done the pay package stuff.
Yeah, go on. Do you want to give a summary?
Trung, you got that?
No, I don't have a. Let me pull it up.
Wasn't it $1 trillion? If he hits certain targets, he's
I think Tesla has to be
compensation.
$8.5 trillion market cap, right?
That's correct.
What's it now?
Firing off. I think it's at what 6, 7.
100 billion. I don't know the details, but yeah, essentially he would need to, what was that, 16x the company, basically more than 6.
No, 8x to get.
What are they now?
The Tesla's 1.3 trillion.
Yeah.
Oh, already. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, let's be honest. There's 12 tranches. I'll read you guys the tranches right now. It's basically he hits market cap milestones, but also to prevent the gaming of just like pumping the stock. There's also like operating profit milestones. But the point is,
so he has to go from 1 to 8.
Yeah,
so he has to 8x. So if he makes 7, 8, obviously it's not just him, but he's leading it. The full package is worth
$925 billion if he gets it to 8
So he would take
basically
basically 1 trillion of that. That is insane.
I mean, it effectively is about 12% because he wanted to get to 25% of Tesla. And so the joke that people had, I'll give you an example. Jeff Bezos, since Amazon went public, has taken 0 equity extra of Amazon. He's never added on a single thing. This is what people are bringing up. They're like, why does Elon need this money, right? And we go back to 2018. Elon signed a compensation package we've talked about got taken away from him. That package was effectively, if Elon can take Tesla from 50 billion to 500 billion, he gets 10% of the company. That's effectively what it was. Broad strokes. He did it. He hit the profit marks too, so it wasn't gameable. Literally at the time, you could not find a single analyst in the world that thought that was a good. They did it like, whatever. He'll never hit this. Who cares, right? That was basically the reaction. Obviously, he hit it. You can look at Tesla now as a business, and we've talked about it here. It's like it's not really valued as a car company, and I don't think it should. I think the Optimus Robotics, I was
going to say the robot stuff seems like
it's extremely real, right?
As part of it now, yeah.
It's like
in the all-in pod, it was really interesting hearing about him talk about the hand. Do you remember this?
It's the hardest part, right? That's what he said.
Yeah, he was talking, and it's quite interesting. And then one of the questions was around why did you choose a humanoid versus like starting from scratch, first principles? But then he basically said it makes sense because we're using them mostly to do what humans do, and so if humans can already do it, we can
Well, the
easily
world's
replicate
designed for humans. Stairs, doors, hallways. It's like that was the logic. And
yeah, it kind of makes sense. So I can see both. You can see both arguments, obviously, but yeah, they're doing this already, and it's very advanced. By the way, boy, I do want to show you just a 30-second clip because I found that's why I was laughing before when one of you was probably saying something very serious. Let me just show you. This is the guy in Nepal, just because I found it so funny. Let me just quickly. Did you guys see this guy? Do you recognize his face?
no, who is that?
This is a vlogger who ended up on vacation in Nepal, but then he ended up documenting the whole thing, and he's
At
become
this
kind
point,
of
I
famous.
agree, bro should be formed.
Foreign minister.
Oh my God.
But look at this. This is in the middle of it, right? Just real quick.
Over this way. Bollocks.
Because bollocks. Look at him running.
Bro!
I mean,
What?
the music is incredible too. Wait, it's
So
incredible.
this guy's a
content.
famous vlogger.
Yeah, and like, it's just so it's so it's so good.
Guys, right now.
I mean,
Parliament is on.
anyway, sorry, people could go find that
Yo,
themselves. But
that was hysterical.
when he said
dude.
bollocks, I just cracked up so much. All right, so he's
No,
obviously English.
So he's English, yeah. So
I'm assuming
let
he's
me
English.
put a pin on the Tesla thing. So again, super interesting. Listen, is it possible that Tesla could be worth 8 trillion? I mean, honestly, yes. I'll tell you why, yes. And this is not investment advice, but it's like, Bilal, you nailed it. Robotics is clearly going to be an absolute, like, autonomous humanoid robotics and like any other type of robotics. It's absolutely massive, right? And you need the brains and the hardware. You look at some of these Chinese companies, like Unitree. You guys know the autonomous dog one? That one is about to go public at 10 bill, right? That's a long way from 10 trillion. But the whole point is if in 50 years, there's going to be a China autonomous robot manufacturer and an American one, you're going to make a bet today. The odds are it's probably going to be Tesla that's going to be doing the autonomous robots, right? So anyways, that's it. That's on the pay package side. All I say about that is, yeah, it's massive. Elon's asking for a lot, but credibly, the board basically said, hey, we need to keep him focused on this. And quite frank, it's true. It's like SpaceX is worth $500 billion, right? This is going to be a $1 trillion company. XAI is worth $200 billion. It's one of the handful of companies that might be on this path towards creating, the whatever, AGI, whatever you guys want to choose to believe. But some people don't like it.
Would he be the first person who could potentially have like $3-4 trillion companies? I'm trying to think of anyone. Because if XAI
almost certainly, yeah, almost certainly.
Tesla, SpaceX.
Yeah. It'll be SpaceX and Tesla for sure. Will be the yeah, it will. That's an affirmative. So, but Bilal, I didn't get your thing. What do you think about a global carrier backup to sell, not a replacement?
I think, I don't have too much more to add. I think it sounds cool. But like you said, at the moment, I guess there's already, like, if you want to get access to that right now through Apple, you can kind of do that. Like, I've never used it, but I've seen it on there. Like when you have no cell service. I think it's supposed to be for like an emergency, right? Like you're in the middle on a road trip and you're in the middle of nowhere and you need to call like an emergency, use it for emergency. That would be very helpful. So yeah, I guess I would definitely consider it. I also just love the use case for planes, which I don't know, because when you go on an airplane, we're so spoiled that we complain about the speed of internet on an airplane, which used to be a crazy thing just to think you could have it on a plane. And so now with with those airplane using satellites now, that's actually pretty amazing.
I'll give you guys the other side of the trade on that. I'm actually, it's amazing because online Wi-Fi is trash. But let me ask you guys, what is the most productive time possible for a human being now?
Oh yeah, I don't normally use Wi-Fi on an airplane. Yeah, I normally it's the only time I get a break. So it's normally,
I'd say 80% of reading I've done in the past 3 years has been on an airplane, like of a book.
That's a good point.
Seriously.
Yeah, you're forced to. It's like the only analog.
You got nothing else, right?
Yeah,
it's actually
like,
crazy. You read like half a book on an airplane. You're like, wow, it's actually possible to read a full book when you don't have the internet.
Yeah, there you go. All right, should we move on to Oracle, lads, real quick?
Yeah,
what happened with Oracle in the last week? Because they pumped like crazy. I didn't see the number here. Let me see. Wasn't it up like 30% or something?
30%, people. Let's see what it is.
Jesus Christ.
It's up. It went up 30, and it dropped about
Dropped
10%.
a little bit. So we're up like 25%.
Well, we should talk about the outlines of this because it's hysterical. You guys saw that, right? The entire feed when the earnings hit and the after hours. Dude, this is like the joke was like, this is not a meme coin. It's Oracle, like a 50-year-old database entry enterprise company, right? So I'll give you guys a TLDR, and I would like to know your experiences with Oracle because I've never actually had any experience crisscrossing with Oracle. I think Bilal might have because of his.
Well,
sales
we
role.
actually got a question which I'll bring up after related to it. But go on.
Okay, so I'll give you guys a setup with Oracle. I believe this is last Wednesday. It's either last Wednesday or Tuesday. After hours, Oracle reports that it has something like 450 bill in basically they haven't done these billings yet for future data center build out, right? And that was an increase year on year of about 3.5 times. So last year they said we have 100 billion in the pipeline of projects. They'd come out and say we actually have 450 bill. Now, Oracle has a history. If you go back to the 90s, there's a great biography about Oracle. It's called Soft War, and it actually discusses a lot of the SEC slapped Oracle quite a bit. They had very aggressive revenue recognition with their sales guys. Like you guys work in enterprise stuff like in the past. Like Oracle has a reputation for being very aggressive on sales, right? Is this correct?
Yeah, they'll bring like more people to the sales meeting than like the.
Well, so
people
you've
in the
heard
room.
about this. You've heard about these things.
Yeah, wait, did I share this tweet with you guys? Remembering
Yeah,
the time I
share.
tried to buy GPUs from Oracle, the first sales guy I talked to didn't know if the $10 an hour on their website was per H100 or per whatever random thing. He scheduled a follow-up call in which they bought 2 times more number of salespeople than our company's total headcount.
Wait, so
Which
that
is
was going
right.
that was going viral because of that's hysterical.
I mean,
Alright,
that's so true, right? Like, that's
so they're
what
known
they
to
do.
be. So what they were actually doing in the 90s, which is like .com era, they were booking. They were recognizing revenue that they hadn't actually done yet, right? Like you have accounts receivable where like like you promised to get paid for what you have to do. They were booking that. So they got in trouble with the SEC for that. The difference here is that they're not necessarily booking this. They're basically saying, hey, we have this category of stuff that people have promised to give us. So immediately skepticism. The stock pumps by 36%, adds like 250 bill, almost crosses $1 trillion, goes from like 700 to 950, almost crosses $1 trillion. And then people are like, wait, this is mad sus. You're telling us you have 450 bill of bookings until 2030. You're telling us in the year 2030, you're going to do 150 bill a year in cloud AI, more than AWS is doing today. So you're going to leapfrog the largest cloud providers in 2030 is basically what they're saying. And then it comes out who was 2/3 of that billing. It was OpenAI. So OpenAI has contracted them for $300 billion. And then everybody's like, hold on a second. OpenAI is projected in 2025 to make 12 billion and then lose 5 billion, okay? So, and they're going to raise 40 bill from Massa. Where is the 300 billion coming for OpenAI? So this is what all the questions people are asking. So those are kind of like the skeptical knee-jerk reaction. Now, let me give you, once a month, got to mention Ben Thompson had an article this morning talking specifically about this. He brought up a great point. He actually said Oracle, whether or not these future revenues are true and will be recognized and actually happen, huge ifs. Namely, how is OpenAI going to get $300 billion and to shovel it to Oracle, right? That's basically the huge overhanging question. But the point that Ben Thompson was making, though, was Oracle completely missed the cloud. There's actually an interview in 2008, and this is an example of Larry Ellison totally talking his own book. By the way, 81 years old, people. Shout out.
He's in the game,
Bro,
man. He became the richest guy in the world. I don't know if we've
He briefly became the richest guy in the world, worth over 400 billion. We're going to talk about how he owns 43% of Oracle.
Also, one of the most legendary texts of all time.
Yeah.
When Elon was shopping around, looking for investors to buy Twitter, I assume, right?
I'll read it right now for the listeners. Yeah, here it is. We're talking about Elon buying. This is one of, like to Bilal's point, one of the greatest texts ever. Elon Musk texts Larry Ellison in 2022. Any interest in participating in the Twitter deal? Larry Ellison. Yes, of course. Thumbs up. Elon Musk. Cool. Roughly what dollar size? Not holding you to anything, but the deal's oversubscribed, so I have to reduce or kick out some participants. Larry Ellison. $1 billion, or whatever you recommend. $1 billion or
I
whatever
like it's
you
like
recommend.
whatever you recommend. I'm just looking because while we're on here, I've got texts from a few friends organizing
Yeah.
dinner, and someone's like, "Can you do 6:30?" And they're like, "Oh, I can do this place or somewhere else you recommend." That's the closest I'm getting to.
That's the recommendation
That's the
that
normal
you're giving.
recommendation, not
It's like, what do you
whatever
want?
recommend.
Are
Yeah,
you
that's
thinking
mad.
something soupy? Something cold? Should we do sashimi?
Soup.
Or soupy? Right, that's the recommendation. So, anyways, to round that up is Oracle. Why is it an ideal AI cloud player? Again, Ben Thompson brought it up. Came in late. They're the fourth player now behind AWS, Google, and Azure, Microsoft. But their experience is doing data centers on-prem. And the reason in 2008 Larry Ellison was talking shit about cloud, he's talking his own book, right? He's just like, don't do cloud.
The
It'll
faster
never make
everyone
any-
realizes everyone's talking their own book,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
better you
Just
feel
know that,
about
right?
the world, man. It's crazy.
Same with Steve Ballmer. Why did Steve Ballmer say the iPhone was dog shit? Because he was talking his own book. Go buy the Windows phone, right? That's all it is. It's like these guys aren't dumb. They're talking their own book. So, but they come in late on the cloud. But just so happens, what do you need in data centers on-prem? Low latency. That's the whole thing. Giant data sets with low latency. Guess what LLMs are? They're giant data sets that need low latency. So Oracle comes, brings that onto the cloud. Ideal player for LLMs. And here's the kicker. Ben Thompson calls them the TSMC of AI providers. Because unlike Google, they don't have their own large language model or their own chip. Unlike Amazon, they don't have their own large language model or their own chip. Unlike Microsoft, they don't have their own tight relationship with OpenAI, whether or not it's contentious or not. Oracle is a peer provider player, just the same way TSMC is a peer chip foundry. We're not going to compete with you like Intel will. We will make whatever you want. So that's Oracle's positioning. Anyways, I'll pass it off to you guys. Any thoughts?
Jack, any thoughts on that? The only thing from my side is just, I think when we saw that contract coming from OpenAI and all that sort of those shenanigans, I'd call it, like I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a feeling from what was it, Microsoft, but you know the whole thing about like Microsoft and Google buying in circles and stuff like that. Like just there's a little bit of froth for me, man, everywhere. You know,
Right,
I think that's
fair
how I'm
enough.
feeling about stuff in general, and
it's
it
like
feels
you're
like
selling the.
yeah,
Well, let's
insert
say
big short
explicitly.
memes here. You know, that's
Well,
how it
Bilal,
feels.
what is the OpenAI thing specifically that is a little sus in your eyes? Why don't you just?
Well, don't get me started on these clips that were doing the rounds last week too on the founder. No, but that's
Yeah.
that's
Let's
a
not do
separate.
the Tucker chat. Oh my.
Yeah,
God.
that chat was wild. I only
For
saw
the
a few
listeners,
clips, but
go
that was
go
wild.
listen to Sam Altman on Tucker. He literally spends about 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, asking if Sam Altman was responsible for the death of one of his former employees. It was relentless. Anyways,
Yeah, it was a lot. But
to Bilal's point,
I'll be honest,
nothing
I
else
don't
on
know fully what Oracle do. Like you explained it there, and I've even worked in some capacity with Oracle coming in, right, in different capacities. But you know, when you Google what they do, like it's a bunch of jargon, man. It's like cloud jargon.
well, that's why they need a
inserted,
second
you know.
sales guy.
There you go. There you go. I will just really quickly bring up the question because we can talk about it in relation to this. We had a comment on Oracle. There was a point about them doing ads. So he said, next week, I reckon Trung is going to deep dive on how Larry is our new daddy. Here we go. Because he's the richest man on the planet now. World rarely talks about Oracle because it's boring, but it probably has the most accurate data on so many people if they ever had a legal proper job. It knows where you live, how much you earn, age, gender, etc. And then he said, imagine if they started selling data for ads, they'd beat Meta, etc. with ease. And then I just responded saying they actually do. So that's the only small capacity.
Wait, they
Yeah,
do?
so honestly, I haven't done this for a long time, but I'm assuming it's still around or was around in the past. You can buy third-party data sets for, let's say, Meta ads. So that's where I've used it a little bit in the past, where just think of offline data. So like think of a client, like an advertiser who is selling in store, right? Like, so most of the sales aren't happening online, but they're buying in a supermarket, like, Axe body spray or something like that. A lot of the time you're taking data sets from wherever you can get them, and you're using that to create essentially like lists of people to target ads for. So that's where I've seen in that capacity, and it's anonymized obviously, but you can buy data
I did not
access.
know that.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, to his point, it's not necessarily that they need to create a Meta ads platform. They just need to work with Meta, and people pay for that
Bilal,
service.
let me hit something that hit the newswire this morning. Did you guys see President Trump, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that they have finalized a deal with TikTok to sell it to an American buyer. Oracle is up 3%. Do you remember 5 years ago?
They were supposed to be the ones buying them, right?
Exactly. Bilal, you have this is people business, Bilal. This is what we're talking about. Bilal's got the magic sauce. He knew their Oracle very likely will be buying TikTok. Think about that. And let's throw this out there.
There you go. Well, that's what the comment was saying. If they have the front end and ads already
Game
there,
over.
you throw that in. That's
Jack,
good.
think about this. Jack, what do you think? Oracle buying TikTok. Hold on, let me add one thing. Larry Ellison's son, David Ellison, last month combined Paramount with his film production company, Skydance. What came on the wire on Wednesday? After Larry Ellison added $100 billion to his personal net worth on the Oracle pump, what came on the newswire?
They're buying CBS or something.
They're gonna buy Warner Brothers. So Paramount Skydance is in talks right now to buy Warner Brothers. They own HBO, CNN, the film studio for about $70 billion, $40 billion market cap, $30 billion debt. So literally that pump that Oracle had, he's gonna give it to his son and to buy and create. Yeah, crazy, right? But like these film studios combined can actually compete with Netflix now. And then you add TikTok, we might be looking at our next $100 billion, $150 billion media company, people. We might be looking
Paramount
at
is
the
our
next.
boy, isn't it? Yellowstone.
Yeah, Paramount is our boy, Yellowstone. That is correct. Taylor Sheridan. So here's what you're going to see next month. NIA exclusive. Total prediction. You're going to see TikTok, Warner Brothers, Paramount all under one roof. It's going to go through antitrust. It's going to skate through it. You're going to have a $200 billion company on the stock market. The next gen Disney right there. 2025 Disney.
Oracle TikTok.
Or
Because they do that to the Red Bull racing team. Do you remember they bought that?
Yeah. Oracle
Red
Red
Bull. Yeah.
So there you go. What do you guys think?
Crazy, man. I had Oracle as a client for a while.
During your ad days.
Back in the day, yeah. And you would do
Tell us more.
Well, the whole idea there is like, how do you make their, you go to an airport and you see all that, like, basically
SaaS enterprise.
Homogenous, yeah, SaaS, speaking to key decision makers in organizations.
Yeah. There you
Buy
go.
our
Buying their
cloud
croissant
product.
for $12, $15.
I heard cloud product.
And you basically, like, if you're in the creative, if you're in the creative role in that, you're basically looking for interesting customers, right? Like you're saying like Oracle or whoever powers the infrastructure that makes it possible for people to like make and run prosthetic limbs or send stuff into space or do it like it's commoditized compute for a large part of it, but like they obviously power some really interesting things. So that's largely where you try and focus your creative efforts. And then Oracle, my interactions with it personally are like all the timesheet stuff in most of the businesses I've worked at that are older than 10 years old. They use Oracle and they're like so entrenched. It's like at a deeper level of the business than even like Microsoft Office. It's just like the entire record of your payroll and insurance and tax and timekeeping and billing and like this, it would be like
the switching
a, like
costs
900-year-old
are massive.
oak tree out of your business. Yeah,
right.
You're not doing it.
The switching cost is insane, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm probably like they wouldn't even make it possible for you to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like oh, can I download all my Oracle data and put it into this like little startup?
Yeah.
No, you can't,
His
mate.
30 bill, here is 30
Yeah.
mil. Well, they call that egress at Amazon Web Services.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Nice.
you want to move your cloud to Google? Okay, here's a small little fee for you. But Jack, to your point, you literally were listing off everything that Bilal was saying from the our reader comment. All that information, all your personal.
But you know what? I think that might be overestimated.
What do you mean?
Like Facebook and Meta and these guys, like
Oh,
where
yeah,
you live and like who cares? Like they don't care where you live; they just care what you're gonna buy, right?
Because
like,
they know from your swipes what you're gonna buy.
Yeah, I would say like
yeah.
I would say. I mean, this is complete conjecture from my end, but like the social networks have almost like they can ignore your demographic because they have your psychographic profile, right? It's like
Yeah.
a demographic target at this point
Doesn't
in
really
time
tell you
is
much,
like
yeah.
tells you nothing. Like once you have like 500 hours of somebody scrolling crud, you could
You know a lot
start
more
shipping
than them being
Yeah, you
34
could-
years old or whatever.
You could start shipping them product before they ordered it and all that good stuff. But I'm sure there's more sophisticated stuff going on than that. But I just feel like the social media.
Well, let me
These
ask
boys
Bilal,
have it
or
dialed.
is that interesting to you, Bilal, the Oracle data? As you're an ad guy, everything that Jack mentioned, the reader, would that data be valuable to you for placing ads? Or is that secondary to what's already available on Facebook?
Wait, sorry, just clarify, what was it again? Sorry, I was reading the Oracle
all
thing.
the business data that you're saying, like, oh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
what your
and
payroll-
I'll answer that, and I want to just clarify. It looks like they stopped a lot of this stuff like a year ago because I haven't used it for a few years. So they used to do this third-party stuff. It looks like they might have like exited the game, but
Okay.
yeah, generally speaking, there was like Jack just said, like think of all, like basically you're trying to find any signal that can help you, right? So it depends on, like if you're an e-commerce brand online, you don't necessarily need to do that anymore. Like nowadays, most people do what's called like broad targeting and let the algorithm just figure it out. It used to be that you really hone in and you're like, oh, I think they're gonna like this, or that psychographic stuff. But nowadays, like meta ads has generally moved to that. Whereas that's like, Bilal's small e-commerce store, that's different to say a Pepsi who's trying to hit you 72 times in a year, and then they're going to do brand lift surveys to see your feeling towards Pepsi with a messy ad that you saw on TV, like this really complex media mix modeling stuff. Like, so there's just different goals for different advertisers. So for this case, yeah, anywhere where you get that, interesting signal, it can be helpful. Like another example is you're starting to buy, you're browsing wedding rings. Now in the future, they're going to start upselling you dresses, right? Or they're going to, or on your Visa card, they see that you've bought something in that category. And now they're going to say, okay, we're going to start hitting these people who are now in market for this thing.
Wait, that's better than the Oracle data is what you're saying. That's more
Yeah, I
valuable.
mean, to a certain extent, I feel like Oracle even like works with a lot of these guys, what they used to, that they'll pull in a lot of this data from other providers. Like there's a lot of partnerships I think they would also have. But from what the original question was more about what's called firmographic data. That's like, think of LinkedIn, like firm, like company, firm. That's like your job title, your company you work for. Like that already exists really, really well on LinkedIn. That's what I primarily use for that sort of stuff. So that would be like, I want to target product managers at companies with 500 employees in these 3 industries in this location. Like that's like very specific targeting. You don't even need Oracle for that. Like you can just
What
go
is
to
the
LinkedIn.
word for individual versus firmographic? What's the equivalent word?
What do you mean individual?
anyways.
Oh, no,
Okay,
that's right. Yeah,
firmographic,
I
yeah.
guess. Yeah, firmographic is just specifically about like
It's
work,
company.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough.
company.
Well, Bilal, let me actually let's put a pin on the question with something that was asked directly. It's like Oracle, big live in large Larry, kind of like our overlords. But here's something that a lot of people have. The very first contract for Oracle was from the NSA, and so there's a lot of if you go back to the early days, people are like, is Oracle really just a carve out for the National Security Agency?
I say it
Or
reminds
was
me a bit like the way Palantir, everyone jokes like you don't really
Exactly.
know what Palantir does. I would put them in a similar
It was
category.
Oracle's definitely in the same bucket. But
There you go.
let me end with I know there's some edge of the internet stuff that we can wrap the episode with. Let me just talk about I think something everybody here will enjoy. I know we have a lot of sole owners of businesses and entrepreneurs that listen to us. Larry Ellison has one of the greatest hodls in history. He owns 43% of Oracle, people. This is
That's
how
incredible. Wow.
he broke 400 billion. He owned 43% of Oracle. I want you to think about that. I'll give you some reference
For a
points.
public company, that's
For a
crazy.
public
At
company.
that scale, that's been around for
Let-
that long.
Exactly. So let me
A
give
lot
you
of big holding for the dev, that isn't it, Bilal?
Let
me give you guys-
big holding for the dev.
what show is that from?
No, that's
It's
like
like just
crypto.
in a crypto chart, like if the top holder had 43%, you'd stay
That's
well away
true.
from that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Sailor's trying to get
For
to
the
with
dev.
what
Well, let me-
percentage does MicroStrategy own of Bitcoin? Do we know?
Over 3%.
Three-
Over
3%
3
of
now.
all.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me list you guys some numbers for. So Elon owns 12% of Tesla. It's gonna get up to 25% if he hits 8 trillion. So crazy. Elon owns half of SpaceX, which is incredible. That one is dude. He's worth 200 billion just from SpaceX. Zuck owns 14% of Meta. Bezos owns 9% of Amazon. Sergey Brin and Larry Page each own 6% of Bilal's former employer Google, and but they have 50% of voting rights, which is why they still run that show. Insane, right? And then Big Daddy Ballmer, we didn't get around to his LA Clippers salary cap scandal, but he owns 3% of Microsoft, more than Bill Gates does. So quickly on Larry Ellison, how does he own 43%? Oracle went public in 1986. He owned 36% of the company at that time. They went public a week either before or after Microsoft.
Wait, what?
And-
Yeah, 86. You said?
86.
Wow.
They went public either a week before or after Microsoft, and I think Bill Gates also had 35 to 40% of Microsoft when it went public, which is fucking insane, right? And then he also gave it away because he got psyoped by Warren Buffett. No, I'm kidding, man. Giving pledges, thumbs up. So Larry Ellison, though, in 2010 owned 28% of Oracle. The last 15 years, there was something called buybacks, people. Oracle has been using its free cash flow primarily and some debt, issuing some debt to buy back shares. Larry Ellison has not sold anything into these buyback programs. Hence, his ownership of the company went from 28 to 43%. It's actually not unlike what happened to Michael Dell. Michael Dell owned something like 10% of Dell before they had a bunch of problems. He took it private, made all these maneuvers, owns like 55% of Dell Technologies now. And they're all riding the AI wave as a hardware providers. Anyways, that's one of the all-time hodls. Edge of the internet, Bilal, go nuts for Jack to close this bad
There
boy
we go.
out.
Yeah, great discussion, lads. Jack, let's close it out here, mate. Edge of the internet vibes. Do you want to talk a little bit about your art blocks release coming up?
Yeah,
and
let me
then
do that
also
first.
PunkStrategy. Yeah, let's do that.
This project is coming out tomorrow. It's called Gas Wars. You guys know the concept of survivorship bias. Heard of that?
Yeah, the famous
Yeah.
photo with the bullet holes.
So
How
it's
didn't you
essen-
explain to the listeners?
So there's this very famous image that is representative of the concept of survivorship bias. It's a World War II warplane covered in these red dots that represent where it got shot, and the logical fallacy it's representing is this idea called survivorship bias, which is you extrapolate what to do next from the things that survived a process as opposed to the things that were destroyed during that process. So these planes would come back with all these holes in them. All the engineers look at it and be like, okay, we need to reinforce it here, here, and here. But what actually happened was all the planes that got shot in the places that need to be reinforced never came home in the first place. So you're basically misleading. So you extrapolate the wrong conclusion from the survivors of a process. So this is Art Blocks is this platform that has been the sort of the leader in these generative art projects. You're probably familiar with some of these things. You guys seen Squiggles before?
Yeah.
You will have seen him around. Snowfro, now a good friend of mine, launched this project and is the founder and CEO of Art Blocks. And it's essentially a platform for creating these generative art projects. So this project of mine coming out tomorrow is called Gas Wars, which is a reference to the early days of NFTs where people would be paying massive premiums on mints because the chain was so congested. And the idea here is there's a maximum supply of 500 pieces, and every token is incrementally priced by $1. So the first token is $1, and that fires one bullet at a plane. The second token is $2. That fires two bullets.
Oh,
and at a
sick,
certain
okay.
point, it inflicts enough damage that the plane disappears. So it will be this like meta commentary on what people decide to go for, because it's likely that the cheaper tokens will have more congestion. You have to pay a premium on the gas fees to secure those tokens. And the later tokens are more expensive, but will be less congested. So it will end up as this kind of, it's open for 500 seconds too. So it'll be over in 8 minutes. So we'll see
Damn.
how people interact with it. And then token 0 will be just the wireframe of the plane, no bullets. That's traditionally what they call an artist mint. So you kind of mint the first token as like, this record of provenance that you keep with you. But I'm auctioning that one starting 24 hours before this goes live. So token 0 will be on auction tomorrow lunchtime. And then
Just to clarify, so just so people listening, Jack, because today we're recording a day early, September 15th. And this should come out the next day, September 16th. So that's when it will go.
Yeah, if it comes out on the 16th, then the 24-hour auction will likely be running right now as you're listening to this. And then 24 hours later, the 499 tokens will go live in that
Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central Time, yeah?
Correct.
Looks like on there. Great.
Correct.
That'll be Wednesday.
That'll be Wednesday, and that'll run for 500 seconds. And then whatever doesn't get purchased in that window is destroyed forever. So maximum supply of 500 pieces. So it should be fun.
How does something like this come about, Jack? I'm just curious. Like, is it just, I know you obviously by now been in the space for a while. People know you, you know people. So I'm just curious, how's it something like this even come up?
So this one is, Artblocks has this series called the Artblocks 500, which is 500 projects. They had this thing called Artblocks Curated, where there's some coordination with the Artblocks team to release projects under that label. And they're getting close to the end of that series now. So they only recently decided it was only going to be 500 projects. And I've become friends with Snowfro, the guy that runs it. And we've been talking about doing something together on Artblocks for a long time. And now they're closing it out. I was very graciously invited to be one of the last couple artists contributing to it. And I've had this idea floating around for a few months, and then being able to do it on this platform, like sort of crossed the T's, dotted the I's on some of the little execution details on it. And should be fun.
Looks sick. Looks very cool. Let's see. Maybe we'll get a little update once it's finished.
Next week we'll do recap.
Recap.
And then my Edge of the Internet thing I wanted to share. You guys ready?
PunkStrategy. Here we go.
PunkStrategy. Where's Trung, man? I need Trung's reaction to this.
Yeah. Wait, Trung, you still there, or you might be off for a second there?
Anyway, I'll keep it going. So, you guys, obviously, if you listen to this pod, you are familiar with MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor.
Yeah.
And if you've been listening long enough, you're also familiar with CryptoPunks. But let me try and do a little summary of it. So it's basically the most robust, valuable, notable NFT collection of all time, I would say. Like probably the highest volume.
They're the OGs, right? Like they're the
it's debatable whether they were the first, but they're definitely the most like notable and like referenced as like, they're in museums and they're in serious art collections now. So they have reputation, and the value of them has held a lot steadier than a lot of other things in the same category. So right now, I think the cheapest CryptoPunk is like 230, 240 grand. And this system's by a guy called Rhinotic, who has been like tinkering around with these different ideas in like fungible and non-fungible tokens for a little while. And recently, Uniswap released this it's called Uniswap V4, and there's a concept within that protocol called hooks, and what it opens up is like all of this additional logic you can bake into a transaction on Ethereum. So you can like route things through different pools. You can like create relationships between one token and another. It's like this logic that you can start to add to transactions at a much higher level. So it basically creates this new playground for people to come up with novel financial mechanisms, right? And this is one of those experiments. It's called PunkStrategy. And it's, here you go, the yo-yo. The idea here is there's a fungible token called PunkStrategy, and the fees to buy and sell it are 10% in either direction. And those fees are used to buy punks. So as the token gets traded, they build up a treasury. Let me pull this up here. You see this?
Yeah.
The screen just changed. So right now they have 35 ETH in their treasury. The cheapest punk for sale is 48 ETH. So they're 73% of the way to buying this. And then they have they've
Wait, was that a token as well? You were saying, yeah?
Yeah, I'll go back up to that. But
Okay,
this is
cool.
like they've managed to buy 5 punks so far with this mechanism. And what they do is they buy it and then they relist it at a slight multiple. So I think they buy it and relist it at 1.2x the value they paid for it. And then when it sells, all of that capital goes back into the token and burns it. So that's why they call it this perpetual
Wait, and
machine.
sorry, they've used that to buy the PunkStrategy token.
Buy their own native token and burn it, right? So I think
they're selling punks that
buying and selling, I think, right?
they're buying and selling punks, and their token is backed by collateralized by punks.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, not directly though. It's like a weird
It sounds like an infinite money machine.
Exactly.
That sound like
Well,
that.
if you read this little blurb up here, perpetual punk machine, that is the idea, right?
That's their name.
It's like,
Yeah.
And they're like, it's like levered and it's mental and like the tax is crazy. So it's just gotten a lot of attention in the last few days. Like,
Oh
here's the
yeah,
chart.
this is definitely edge of the internet, man. This is sick.
Damn,
Yeah, I think
dude.
it ran to like 30 million bucks and what's it at now? 14. But it's like kind of an interesting mechanism because of the sale tax specifically, right? Like when people who have a big chunk of it exit, the treasury increases in value, and then they're closer to the next purchase. So it's still like any other thing.
Oh, it kind of sounds like what Sailor's, like, not directly, but it's like, you know how Sailor identified like a convertible debt product, and like it sounds like there's some, because you have to take transaction and tax costs into effect, right? And then that's when you start thinking, oh, wait a second, what was the word you used, Jack? You said financial something. It wasn't financial engineering, but you had said the word financial and something else.
Mechanism design or something. Yeah.
Financial mechanism design.
That's the word for it. There you go.
And this is like this Zora. You remember we did that a few weeks ago? That's also like a byproduct of this Uniswap V4, the hooks concept.
Okay.
So like the hook is like a new primitive that allows you to do a lot more complex stuff behind the scenes than just a straight buy or sell or swap. Like you can route stuff through different pools. You could obviously route money before, but this idea specifically of like the reason this works with CryptoPunks is because their marketplace is fully on Ethereum too. So if you were to do this with another collection that's like on OpenSea, it depends on some off-chain data, and it's not like truly
native.
It's not able to run completely permissionlessly, right? Like the Punk thing is so robust as a contract that it makes a ton of sense to do this in the same way that, or I shouldn't say it makes a ton of sense. It's like it's much less fallible to do it with a collection like Punks because of the way it's structured. And I think you're going to see a bunch of stuff try and emulate this model. It's just kind of interesting. It feels like remember the conversations we were having 3 or 4 years ago where like, here's this new sort of primitive or idea, and this is downstream of all the digital asset treasury stuff you're seeing on CNBC, and like the sailor as the like pioneer of
model,
that strategy that's now there's an ETH one, there's a Solana one, there's a Dogecoin one, and now like
it's running. It's like the joke with digital asset treasury, though, is people, it really worked for strategy. It's not working as well for everybody else. Is that right, Jack?
I think it seems to be pretty accurate, and it's also like who has a spokesperson that has that kind of heat, man. Not many people.
There's no second best, man. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not just in the coin, but the spokesperson. That's the thing.
So it's cool. This stuff is fun. It's like, I think my view on it is like you have these meme coins that have, complete detachment from any object or asset or commodity. They're like purely narrative driven, and this is like a combination of narrative driven, and it has some like the ability to acquire assets that have very very stable or very like constant market demand in a way that is different than if you spun this up and said it buys Bitcoin. It's like nobody would care, right? But there's something in this like mix of objects where a lot of people who appreciate crypto art can't buy CryptoPunks, but you can buy $100 of this token.
Right. Oh, fair enough, right? It's like an ETF in a way.
In
It's
some
like
ways, yeah, you could make that argument, I think. And then it's just like crazy and levered, and like there's a lot of like there's like a story happening, and there are events occurring around the, like if somebody who got into this incredibly early decides to dump a massive clip into the chart, there's like a reason to celebrate that because it gets them closer to the next acquisition, right? So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that,
So
mate.
we'll see. We'll come back to it. And like, I think this was when did it launch?
Let's definitely
6th of
put a
September.
pin on this, man.
9 days. We'll come back to this. And I think it took about I think it took maybe even 6 or 7 days for them to get to the first punk. And they've had 6 in the last 48 hours probably. So we'll either come back to this and this chart will be mirrored on the other side, or it'll be a very different story. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
Not investment advice. And I bought a little bit of it when it first started too. So for full transparency.
You had a little taste.
Yeah.
Yo,
nothing
Jack,
crazy.
do you know what at its height, what were CryptoPunks worth,
Because
you said the floor
like
now is what, 230K
yeah,
in
they were
dollars?
like 120 ETH, 130 ETH. They probably got up to like
What's that, 400?
300-400 something at one point.
Because then ETH was probably about 4K, right? Like 4.5K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've held, compared to the rest of the NFT market, it's held a lot of value. Like it's down half-ish, but like a lot of NFTs are down 99%. I take it.
Oh yeah, these are like, if these fail, it's total game over for anything even remotely related to this.
Yeah,
stuff.
like this is the one that's held its value. Because even compared to like Bored Ape, I'm assuming was
yeah. This has
Bored Ape
been
has
it's
dropped
performed
significantly more.
much better. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, but we are hitting our time here, boys. But very good to see some Enter the Internet stuff. Thanks for sharing that, Jack.
Yes,
Anything
boys.
else, lads, before we wrap up here? And thanks for doing a day early, and we'll release this a day early too. So you're getting it a bit early here this week.
Thank you,
We're
you,
back
listeners.
to our normal schedule. Should be back to that next week. All right, boys. Anything else?
No, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, guys.
Great to chat. All right, boys. Have a good one. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Cheers. Bye bye.